Well, good afternoon, everyone. Excited to come back home and play a really good OU team. We just started our prep yesterday. Looking back at our game on Saturday, kind of tale of two different halves for us on defense. We really struggled in the first half on defense. We just couldn't settle down, couldn't get into any kind of rhythm, couldn't get aligned right, things that you look at their first 5 or 6 plays, and we had some missed assignments, I think, in all 6 of them, and then ended up scoring a touchdown, things that we had practiced, and so that was a little bit frustrating. And then once we settled down, obviously it was a little bit late as far as the amount of points that they had put up, but we played better in the second half. It's something we're kind of building off of from a defensive standpoint of once we settled in, I thought we played pretty well, but it just was too little too late. Offensively, really good defense we played. They said we're going to stop Deuce Vaughn and rush the passer and make you beat us throwing the football. And when we were down, as much as we were down, that's not a good position for us to be in, where we're having to throw and we can't really set up our throw with our play with the run and trying to get some play action. So then it became the fact they just laid their ears back and rushed the passer and did some really good things. We still had an opportunity. It was 31-13, and then we get the big play with Deuce, and end of the third quarter it's 31-20, and we had a couple opportunities with some guys open, and we just either couldn't get the ball to them or we didn't see them because of the pressure, or we had a chance to maybe make it a one-score game. But as we talked on Saturday, we kept chasing that one touchdown that we kind of gave up and gave them at the in the first quarter on the fumbled snap, and so we were chasing that one all night long. But came back on Sunday, went through the film, visited with the guys yesterday. We got to learn from it. Going to have adversity, first adversity we've had this year. Now it's how we respond. Good opponent coming in here, great opponent coming in here. So we can't. We got to flush that one and get ready to play a great OU team.
Do you know how likely it is that you'll have Skyler?
I would say not likely this week. He's doing more things. But I just think it'd be, maybe late in the week we'll have a better understanding. But right now I would say no, it's going to be Will and Jaron. Our hope all along was the open week, getting him a chance to be back for Iowa State. That's kind of the timetable it was. I don't think that'll change. He's doing more things. Don't get me wrong. He's doing more things. But to play a game, I don't think so right now.
Will, I know you mentioned him being available. Is it going to be him able to run the ball?
Yeah, we believe so. I think right now he's banged up. A lot of guys are. But I believe over the next 2 or 3 days, some of the soreness will come out, and I think he'll be effective, Will. And time will tell on that. But I really believe with the status that we did get from him yesterday, it was mostly Jaron, and he took some snaps. But I think as the week progresses, he'll start to feel better.
Hey, Chris, general question here, but why do you think playing Oklahoma the last 2 seasons has brought out the best in your team?
I don't have that answer. We were really run out of the place last year. It was 35-14 in the third quarter, and then the momentum changes a lot of things, and we scored a touchdown, and I think J-Mac had a big turnover on a big hit, and we block a punt. Next thing you know, it's 35-35. So part of that is the momentum, and it just flipped for us. We played really well the year before at home, and then kind of had to hang on. I don't think it has anything to do with who we're playing. We talked about that yesterday too. We've got to worry about us because we're going to play a team that knows that we've beat them the last 2 years. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to be prepared, and I think we'll get Oklahoma's best. I really couldn't answer that. I don't know.
And you, when you were at North Dakota State, also had a couple years where you went up and beat FBS teams. You could say you were the underdog in those games. Do you find yourself coaching any differently in those settings when you know your team is the underdog?
No, I think it's still all in your preparation. And, I think so often we as coaches sometimes, or even as players, worry about the opponent when we need to worry more about how we can be better ourselves. Whether it's us we got off blocks so much better the first 3 games than we did against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a good football team, but we didn't get off blocks as well. Well, was it? I don't know why that was. So it's not really the opponent sometimes. It's sometimes yourselves. And we misfired on some things offensively. And so whether or not it's an opponent that you're an underdog, you're a favorite, stuff, you still got to come ready to play every weekend. And I think you're seeing that across the landscape of college football with teams that, quote, are favored to win and don't win or are hanging on. We've had one ourselves this year playing Southern Illinois. I think there's just a lot of parity because of the teams with so many seniors.
I know it hasn't necessarily been easy for them going from one quarterback to the next, but what do you want to see from your wide receivers to get their production moving up?
It's everybody. It's not just the wide receivers. We have to design some things better for them from a coaching standpoint to get the ball out maybe a little bit quicker. We've got to protect a little bit better. We had some good max protect things called on Saturday, but we miss a block on a max protection, so we got to throw the ball early to Malach, or maybe we have a chance. I mean, little things. It's just some little details that it's not just the quarterback. It's not just a receiver. It's not just an offensive line. It's a tight end. It could be somebody in that group. It could be how we design the play. But we've got to be able to throw the football more efficiently, more effectively. We did that early on with Will on that first drive. And then once we got behind again, we didn't have that element of the run.
A few other guys I think are dinged up. TJ Smith, Stubblefield, Daniel Matter-Bebe. Is there any update on
Yeah, I think Reggie's the one that's got the best chance to play out of those guys. He practiced yesterday. TJ did not. Daniel did not. They're not ruled out. And today they're doubtful. So we'll kind of see where we're at, whether it's maybe getting them back limited Wednesday, Thursday. But Reggie should be able to play.
How do you feel about your offensive line performance? Obviously, probably wanted to see more, but was that a product of them kind of loading up the box?
Yeah, a little bit of that, but we've had a lot of people load the box up, and we're able to crease by guys for 5 and 6 yards. We were actually pretty good on first down efficiency running the ball. We just were really poor on second and third down. All of us need to play a little bit better. All of us need to coach a little bit better. But give Oklahoma State credit. I think they really did some good things schematically against us, and they got off blocks. And we sustained blocks a lot better the first 3 weeks than we did this last week. So we've got to be better at sustaining blocks, but also give Okie State some credit.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Chris, are you getting receivers open on the type of routes that you would anticipate?
Sometimes. And sometimes there's really good coverage. And so we have to do some more one-on-ones with our DBs and wide receivers. So we aren't going against maybe service team guys. We're going against some of our better corners so that we can get off people that grab and hold you and stuff. And I'm not saying that's what it was. As a DB coach myself, I think you should grab and hold because it's not called that often. You have to be able to get off of that. It's no different on punt or on kickoff. People are going to grab and hold you until you force them to get off you, and you rip hands away and get off of press coverage or get off of bounce man coverage. And so it's an effective tool that we have to be better at getting off of. But there were some times we had some guys open that either we didn't see them or the protection broke down and we couldn't get the ball out.
Injury situation with Nate Malach that prevented him from playing Saturday?
No, 2 things happened on that. One, we had a specific personnel grouping that he was going in on, and they didn't get into that personnel grouping as much. And then their tempo didn't allow you to sub as much.
No Daniel Green in the second half, but it didn't seem to matter that half. So what does that mean for your defense and then getting him back against Oklahoma?
A couple things. One, Daniel's got to continue to work on keeping his eyes up and seeing what he hits. I think anytime it goes to replay, it's never probably very good. And we got to make sure that the game remains safe. And so they're going to call that. And we as coaches all understand that and appreciate the fact that we want to make sure and keep the game safe. And so he's got to learn to tackle with his eyes up and see what he hits a little bit better. On the flip side, Nick Allen's getting some really good snaps and really valuable snaps. He had some against Stanford. He had a full game against Southern, had another half of football. And Nick's playing really well and made some really splash plays. It's just that Nick's also a starter on all 4 special teams, and he's playing every snap of the second half. And we have to be able to have, somebody spell him on special teams, or when Daniel's around and plays a full game, Nick's got to be able to spell him too, so we can keep them both fresh. They're both good players.
And then what's the difference in the game plans from Oklahoma State to Oklahoma?
Well, we're developing those right now. Obviously, the big play capability of Oklahoma via the pass or run is something that they have the ability to get you at any moment, at any time, because they have such tremendous skill players, tremendous speed, quarterback with a phenomenal arm. Been focusing obviously on that side of the ball on Monday, and then for us on offense, we have to be able to find ways to crack the run, whether it's quarterback run, whether it's perimeter run, whether it's some inside run, probably a combination of all things, so that we don't have people playing 9 guys in the box against us and bringing everybody. We have to be able to hit the explosive play, similar to what we did against Nevada early in that game. It kind of softened them up a little bit.
Coach, when you go back and look at film, how worrisome are these issues with the passing game?
They're worrisome without question, and it's a combination of a lot of things. It's us designing some things to get guys open against specific coverages. It's us getting open. I don't care if it's me against you. It's just me getting open and not allowing you to be grabby and hold with me, and us making sure that we protect long enough so that we can get the ball out. We had some really good throws in the first drive with Will, and some of those were bang throws where people were in his face, but we were able. Tyrone Howell got off coverage one time and made a big play. Phillip got off coverage and made a big play. Landry got off coverage and made a big play. So I know we're seeing it. We're capable of doing it. It's just got to be more consistent.
And when they take away Deuce like that, how much does that affect your playbook?
Affects it quite a bit. I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the country. So other people have to step up. But whether that's other people in the run game or us doing some things to throw the football so that they have to say, okay, we can't put all these guys up here. Their free safety stood at 10 yards and never backpedaled. Had we hit one of those home run balls over their head when we had a couple opportunities, their DB made a couple good plays. But if we hit one of those, it's another touchdown. If we hit both of those, it's maybe a different type of ball game, because then we're not chasing those points. And that's something that we talk about as staff when I meet with the offense, is we have to be able to hit those home run plays. And to the extent of one, I thought a kid made a really good play. The other one, we have it max protected, but we don't block the right guy, so we have somebody come clean right at Will, and he hits him right before he wants to throw it, and we should have it picked up.
And finally, do you expect to see similar defensive schemes until you prove you can defeat it?
Yeah, I would think we've seen kind of the same schemes, to be honest with you. Whether it was Stanford to Southern to Nevada to Oklahoma State probably had better players than the other 3 teams did, but we've seen 9 guys in the box, 10 guys in the box, and we were able to rush the football for sure against Nevada, against that look. We were able to throw the ball effectively against Stanford in that look. And then, Southern Illinois, I don't think we played very, very well, but give those guys credit. We didn't, I don't think, do a great job in that game either. So we have to continue, and we've got a long season ahead of us, and so we have to continue to find ways, and we have to continue to design more things, and we have to continue to be more competitive on getting off the line of scrimmage. We've got to be more competitive in our offensive line so that we have more time to throw it. It's no secret. We have to continue to improve offensively.
Chris, I was just curious. I know it's early. You said it's a long season. Sometimes looking at a top 5 or top 10 opponent, to be able to defeat them really is a nice feather in the cap. Elephant in the room. I mean, do you talk to your team about the ranking, or is that something no one talks about?
Yeah, no. I would say the kids probably know that where somebody's ranked when we play them, but it's nothing that we would emphasize of this would be a great win because it's over third-ranked, fourth-ranked team. I'll be honest with you, every win's a great win. And you know that the longer you're in the profession, that it's hard to win football games. And so it takes a great effort for 4 quarters in this league to win. And we didn't put together a 4-quarter game. And I know we keep talking about what we need to do offensively, but we need to play better on defense. We didn't play good enough in that first half to give us an opportunity in the second half. We just didn't. So collectively, being that it's a long season, we have to continue to get better. We're beat up on both sides of the ball, but a lot of people in the country are. So the other people have to step up too.
You feel like there's some good parity in the Big 12 this year?
It looks like that. You know, we've only played one game, and Oklahoma State probably played its best game of the year, I would say, from the film I've watched. But you look at, Baylor's win over Iowa State. You look at SMU over TCU to West Virginia, who played really well against OU and had a chance to win. I think we keep going back to this, but I don't care if it's us playing Stanford to Southern to Nevada. You're seeing teams with a ton of seniors and a ton of 5th and 6th year guys. And so when you have that experience, you can just do more things. You're not playing vanilla offense and vanilla defense because coaches and players know their schemes. And so that's the thing that I think you're going to continue to see throughout college football this year.
You don't really talk about rankings, but K-State fans out there know about the rankings for sure. How important is this crowd on Saturday?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, this is going to be a great environment. We're excited to play at home again. Our guys love running out of the tunnel and seeing the crowd and with the band and the students. We need everybody to come back out because I think we have a really good football team. Did we stumble last week? You bet. But we didn't quit either, and our kids played their tails off for 4 quarters. We just came up short, and I know our guys are excited about coming back home.
You mentioned it before. You didn't know how this team would bounce back from its first taste of adversity, but how have they so far?
Yeah. Well, on Monday was our first weightlifting session with Coach True and his staff, and I told the guys this is since Coach True and his staff have been here, which was about last March, and so much energy was brought into the program with these guys. We talked about it through the spring, throughout the summer, through fall camp. We haven't had any adversity with this strength staff, and that's your guys are around the strength staff more than they are anybody, especially during the summer and fall. And I said, okay, how are we going to respond? And Coach True and his staff came up, and I met with him yesterday after the weight session, and they said, Coach, it was a great session. And everybody was locked in. Everybody was working hard. Everybody was holding each other accountable. Everybody was fully invested, and that's the first sign. And yesterday's practice was pretty spirited. Noah Johnson asked to grab the team at the end of practice and talk to the team about what he thought we needed to do to be successful, what he thought we needed to do to kind of flush what happened, learn from it, but continue to believe and continue to grow. And so I know we're in a good spot. Does that mean we're going to win the next week or the next week? No, but we're building the things right now and building that foundation of a great culture that we need to have.
And when you look at Oklahoma, their scores are a little bit lower this year. They're winning with defense. Do you see them playing any differently?
No, and I'll be honest. I'm kind of shocked that their scores are low. I know they've played Nebraska had a good defense and West Virginia had a good defense, but this is still Oklahoma with unbelievably explosive players, with a great play caller, with schemes that people are open. People can be running free at times. We've seen that. Every team in the Big 12 has seen that when they've played them. Because it's a tough preparation because of their great skill as well as the ability for them to just pound the ball at you. And so we have to play complementary football. We have to be able to control the football offensively, whether it's in a short passing game, running the football. We have to be successful in special teams. And this is a game that we were meeting as a defensive staff that the explosive play cannot happen. And that's a hard thing to say against a team like Oklahoma that typically gets the explosive play on everyone.
How much did Oklahoma State's tempo limit what you guys have been used to doing defensively?
It did a little bit. It's just probably not as as much as the fact that they were successful rushing the football, so we wanted to get keep our bigger defensive linemen in the game, and that probably wore us down a little bit. Playing the same 6 guys rather than getting 9 and 10 in there, something that we probably are learning from as a defensive staff, that when the ball goes out on their sideline, we just need to rotate guys in and have confidence that the officials are going to hold the ball, because that's the rule. If it goes out on their sideline, you don't know if anybody's coming in or out. You should just rotate guys, and that's something that we need to probably do a better job of that as coaches, to get more fresh bodies in there.
What has Timmy Horn given you through 4 games?
Timmy's been really good. I think Timmy can play better, and I think Timmy would tell you he can play better. But he's been really good. He's been disruptive. He's been a great leader. So happy we have him. But like we talked earlier, we have 8 more games of Timmy Horn, and I'm excited because I think his best football is in front of him still.
Not seeing as much quarterback run game when Jaron was in the game. Is that more based on his skill set or being worried about losing another?
I think it was probably the latter, in the fact of we really went into that game with 2 guys taking reps throughout the week of practice, and we saw Will have some decent runs early on, one big run, and then got hit. And when we came back out of halftime, I know Jaron ran it a couple times, but it was the other 2 guys that we brought on the trip weren't ready to play, and so we were down to 1 guy, and we wanted to make sure he was going to take some shots anyway because they were going to blitz, that we needed to make sure and keep him healthy, because we knew coming into this week, now we'll get Jake or Max Marsh more reps and ready to play, because I don't know about Will. Skylar doubtful. Who's the next guy coming in, and I couldn't tell you who that would be. And we're hoping that Will progresses this week, and I think he will. I really firmly believe that Will be fine come Thursday. He just wasn't he was a little bit sore yesterday, but the injury that he sustained, I know he'll get better this week.
When it comes to facing a team like this with the reputation that they have, just how much confidence can you guys draw on the fact that you've beaten them the last 2 years?
Well, you hope there's some confidence there, but in the fact that we've had some success in doing whatever, offensively, defensively, or on teams, but there's also that factor of they're saying the same thing to their team, that this is the team that we haven't beaten the last 2 years, and their kids know it too. And so once again, it comes down to executing and playing with great technique. We'll play hard, I know that, but we got to play with better technique than we did last week, and we have to execute at a much higher level than we did last week.